at this point, it's time to hear from one of our real students, a student from San Francisco State, Sonya Soltani, who is the CSSA Vice President of Legislative Affairs. Sonya?
Thank you. Oh boy, I'm pretty short. They have a stool here, so I'm just going to go ahead and use that. A little bit better. Thank you so much. And thank you to Mr. Finneran. If I may just ask that we give our keynote speaker one more round of applause. All right, I sense that we all have had a very long day, and I promise I'll keep it brief, but I'll also keep it meaningful. The reason why we're all here, after all, it is all about our students. My name is Sonya Soltani, and I am a student at San Francisco State University. I'm in my first year master's program for public administration and public policy. I'm also very proud to say I graduated SF State with my bachelor's degree in communication studies last May. I also serve as the Vice President of Legislative Affairs for the California State Student Association. For those of you who don't know, CSSA serves as the single recognized voice for over 447,000 students within our system, and it's a point of pride for us. I want to first thank the Academic Senate, a very, very strong partner of ours, for gathering our stakeholders together for reflection and discussion about the great work that's being done in the CSU. I want to especially thank you for your appropriate theme. It's all about our students. Now, I have a script here, but I'm going to go ahead and step away from it for a moment because there's something that we talked about that was very meaningful for me, and actually, Mr. Finneran, you touched on it. It's about opportunity and mobility. And I'll just share very briefly a little bit about myself. I'm a first-generation student, and I became independent at a very young age. I became independent when I was 16 years old. I was going to high school full-time and working full-time, and needless to say, college was not on the horizon for me. I didn't think of it as an opportunity. But when I did come to the realization that going to college would give me the potential to change my life, to truly offer me the kind of mobility that we're talking about here, the prospect of my future completely changed. And now, I'm proud to say I'm starting my master's degree, another step up in the world. I'm really excited about that, but honestly, it's not my story, it's stories like mine, which is why we're all here, and why it is truly all about the students. For the last 2 days, the trustees have discussed a variety of business, human resources, advancement, and educational policy issues, all of which are grounded in a better serving our students. We at CSSA are very happy to collaborate with the trustees, our faculty, and our student-centered chancellor to continue advocating for an accessible, affordable, high-quality education for students of the CSU. Very briefly, I'm going to highlight some of the things that we've been working on in CSSA. More importantly, our joint state budget advocacy for the additional $95 million with faculty, staff, and administration. We continue to believe that the state budget is one area where there is room for students and faculty and staff to work together and recognize that our joint efforts will ultimately help to make us more successful in our representation of students. Just this last month, we were honored to publish our first legislative scorecard, which aims to hold our legislators accountable, not just holding our legislators accountable, but also highlighting those legislators that have supported a prioritization of higher education, and more specifically, the CSU. We also participated in our fall federal advocacy trip in Washington, D.C. this last September. We met with congressional representatives, alumni, and higher education advocates on important federal higher education issues like sexual assault, college affordability, student loans, Pell Grants, student access, and success. it was a long agenda. We also continue to distribute our grant funds to associated students organizations and implement student-led sustainability programs so that we can, and all of our campuses can, remain leaders on the sustainability front. More internally, though, we recently adopted our 2014-2015 annual policy agenda. This provides the direction for our organization in terms of broad university and legislative affairs issues that will be pertinent to us this year. We're also very close to transitioning our association's funding model to ensure that there is always going to be a strong CSSA voice, both in Sacramento and right here in Long Beach, and always maintain that strong student voice on matters important to the system, but also to our students. Now, some of you may have already seen some of the wonderful posters and presentations that our students have worked so very hard in creating. These posters highlight some of the best and brightest programs and services that our campuses have to offer. And there's certainly points of pride for all of us. Moving forward, I encourage you to talk with these students about their work, about the programs they've chosen to highlight, and about the work that they've done and continue to do in advocating for students in the CSU system, on their own campus, and of course, for their students that they represent in their constituencies, because the students we're talking about here are also elected officials and represent students and work day in and day out to make sure that our voices and our perspectives are heard. Because again, after all, it is all about our students. Thank you.